Hey nerds, I'm going to do a little bit something different today as I will do a spoiler breakdown of And Just Like That, Season 3, Episode 1, starting now. Welcome back to the Nerd Social. I am Colin. And Just Like That, which is the sequel series to Sex and the City, started its Season 3 a couple of days ago. They dropped their first episode on Max. Going to be HBO Max soon, but still Max on all of their branding as of right now. Episode 1's title is Outlook Good, and the spoiler-free logline is: as Carrie navigates long distance with Aidan, Miranda considers ghosting a hookup, and Charlotte tries to redeem Mr. Burton. So just a little bit of background first. I watched the original Sex and the City here and there, but not very fully. Didn't watch the movie, so I'm coming at this at a very new perspective. But I did watch the first 2 seasons, which were very enjoyable to me. I think that there's definitely some criticisms here and there of it, but overall, I think it's still okay drama. The first episode is written by Michael Patrick King and is also directed by Michael Patrick King, who was part of the original Sex and the City. So there's nothing crazy or groundbreaking in this episode, except that they have leaned very heavily on diversifying from the original cast. So we saw that the original cast had the core 4, but now there's definitely a lot more voices and diversity in there. But I think that the whole series is very much like a where are they now, and also the feeling of getting reacquainted with a very old friend. This is definitely a nostalgia play by HBO to bring back the original cast, minus Kim Cattrall, who did a voiceover in season 2. So they're all in their 50s. Some of them have kids, some of them don't, some of them still dating. I said to my wife, who was a big fan of the original, that this show is pretty much like a present day Golden Girls. So people that are not familiar, Golden Girls was a show back in the 80s. It's on reruns all the time about these 4 women living in Miami, about their different exploits. This is like that, but it's based in New York City. The storylines make you want to stay to learn more if you really care about the characters. So if you don't care about these characters, you can't really get into the show. I think that for me, Seema and Lisa are the ones that I care most about, because I think Seema has a really interesting life. She's South Asian, and also the fact that her family pressures her to get into relationships. She's built a really big real estate business. And so she met Carrie back, I think, in season 1, where she was helping with Carrie's real estate issues. And also Lisa, who we met through Charlotte, she's the individual who is really the go-getter, trying to do it all with balancing tweens and also her career and also being a trad wife. So she's just trying to have it all. Then occasionally Charlotte, I care a little bit about, because her daughters have very different personalities, and also the fact that she's trying to come back into her career and trying to navigate being a working mom again. And finally, Carrie is the protagonist, so you just have to pay attention to all of her exploits, whether you love her or not, but she's still front and center for all the show. In terms of this episode, there's a surprising cameo that everybody online has been talking about, and we will get to that interesting tidbit. But those are my overall thoughts about the series and also the episode itself. In terms of rating, I would give the episode a 7 out of 10, which is a dinner party. I think it's a pretty average start overall. The cameo was the most compelling thing out of the whole episode. Otherwise, you have to watch more to see where the characters end up at the end of the season. That's pretty much how it's all get built up. And maybe some people would just rather binge the whole thing rather than just watch an episode per week. There's 10 episodes, so it's going to go all through the summer. There's some carryover from the first 2 seasons, but if you're trying to pick up the show now, it's not 100% necessary to go back to seasons 1 and 2, although you might want to fill in the gaps here and there as to what they've been doing, especially the 3 main characters, Charlotte, Carrie, and Miranda as well. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts about And Just Like That. If you'd like to hear more about what I have to say about this series and other content we put out there, please like, share, and subscribe for more. We really appreciate your support, and we are growing very rapidly on all of our social media platforms. So without further ado, I am going to go into spoilers for And Just Like That season 3 episode 1. So spoilers ahead. Okay, so we start off with Carrie in this big house that she bought. So for those of you that don't remember, at the end of season 2, she got back with Aidan, which was one of her old flames. This was before she married Big, and Big died in season 1. And so now she rekindled this relationship. But unfortunately, Aidan has his own issues right now. He's living in Virginia, and also one of his sons had passed away tragically. So he's back in Virginia with his other son and trying to balance that life with the life that he's sharing with Carrie. So they're doing long distance right now. Carrie thought that Aidan and his son was going to move into this big house in New York City, but she's all alone, and she's trying to have all this house, but there's nothing to do with it because there's no family. They were saying in the recap that they had to wait 5 years. So who knows whether or not she's going to be able to wait 5 years. So it'll be a very interesting storyline to see how this moves forward. Whereas Miranda had her relationship with Shay back in season 2, and now they are in a lesbian bar trying to have Miranda find new people in her life. Unfortunately, the person that Charlotte and Carrie were eyeing at, it ended up being a former babysitter of her son, Brady. So that really didn't work out very well. But then what happened was there was another woman, which we will get to later on, who happens to have an interest in Miranda. Anthony, he is in this relationship with Giuseppe. If I recall, he had some women was really into him, but then he turned out to be gay. These two turned out to be in a relationship after Anthony had to break up with Sanford. The actor who portrayed Sanford tragically passed away in season 1. They just said in this show that he's in Japan, living his life. So they didn't really address that. I think it's still pretty fresh for the cast because the actor did not reveal that he was struggling with cancer at the time. So they left that to the side for now. So Anthony was questioning Carrie's long distance relationship. Giuseppe's in a lot of ways the voice of reason, the voice of empathy for Anthony. And it'll be very curious to see how these two transpire, because I think that Giuseppe's really caring and really sensitive in a lot of ways to Anthony's reactive and emotional type. Everyone's talking about this online with Rosie O'Donnell coming back as the hookup interest of Miranda at that lesbian bar. We then find out that she was also a virgin and she was a nun. And so there was a very funny line that Carrie made about Miranda hooked up with the Virgin Mary. And we find out that she's originally from Canada, and Miranda has been ghosting her for the whole episode. Yeah, I felt sad for that because they might have had something, but I think that Miranda's in a different place in her life, whereas Mary here is definitely just starting off. It was almost as though Mary is where Miranda was when she broke up with Steve. And so it's very interesting in that sense. They're not compatible because of the fact that they're on these different journeys as lesbians. And we get to see Seema, who is really frustrated because her boyfriend has no time for her. Work gets in the way for Ravi. And so Ravi is long distance in Egypt while trying to FaceTime him and doesn't really get the attention that she deserves. And so even when Ravi comes back to New York City, he was scouting your locations, and Seema is like, I had enough. We're not sure as to where Seema is going to be at this point because, again, her family is really pressuring her to settle down, and she's in her 50s. Because this is now broken off, we'll get to see where she's going to go. Is she going to go back to her fulfilling career, or is she trying to find new love at this point? As for Lisa, who's the second most compelling character for me, she's pitching a documentary of Black women that are lesser known in history. From the last season, she was going to do Ken Burns style documentary. However, the producers that were there wanted Michelle Obama, which was really off base with her. But then there might have been an opportunity where her husband, Herbert's campaign manager, named Chauncey was working at the White House. We don't know whether or not he was working at the Obama White House or the Trump White House. We're not really sure. So there might be an opportunity there for Lisa to engage with Michelle Obama. Now, I don't know whether or not Michelle Obama is going to show up this season. They planted a seed there, but who knows? That would be really cool if it was, but I know that she has her deal with Netflix right now. We don't really know how that's going to transpire, but Lisa really has a lot on her plate. And so hopefully she's able to hold it all together while this is happening. Although in the future trailers, there's some hints that there might be some infidelity. Hopefully not. But as for Charlotte, she really took a back seat in this episode with the fight with some dog walkers in Central Park because of Mr. Burton alleged misbehavior. And so she really didn't have a big role here, although her daughter did, and we'll get to that fairly soon. But there was really not much to say about Charlotte in this episode. And then finally, Carrie and Aidan, whether or not they're going to be long distance for long term or whether or not she's going to break up with him, that's going to be a storyline that we're going to have to see out the season and how they're going to navigate through that challenge there. And then the last storyline is Lily, who's the one on the far right there with Rock. That's her sister in the middle. These are Charlotte's daughters. Lily's really interested in this ballet dancer, and they went to Lincoln Center to watch him perform. Is it puppy love or is it going to be something more? We shall see. And so that's pretty much it for the first episode of season 3 of And Just Like That. Tell us what you think about this episode by commenting down below. Like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. And we will see you in the next video. All right. Take care, everybody.